How many times have you silenced the ESLint warning just to make a use effect work, or ended up being stuck in an infinite re-render loop without knowing why? And what about those dependency arrays where you're forced to add something that doesn't even feel related? Well, React 19.2 finally has the fix for that. React 19.2 shipped a brand new hook called as useEffectEvent that finally fixes majority of these problems. So in this video, I'll show you how it works, the real world patterns it fixes, and how you can stop fighting useEffect once and for all. So let's quickly dive in. So let me quickly show you a real world example for where you would use useEffectEvent, but also see examples without useEffect example and with useEffect example, so you will see the differences. So for example, this is a chat application. And we have this toggle to toggle dark mode or light mode. So every time I press this, watch what happens. When I press this, chat has been connected and the mode is dark mode. If I press toggle this again, then again, chat has been connected and it's light mode. Think about this. Why is it that every time I toggle the theme, the chat has been reconnecting? Chat shouldn't reconnect. Other than the fact that the theme of the chat changes, it's not really related. It shouldn't reconnect every single time when it has established its connection. So let's take a look at the code. So over here, we have app.tsx, and this is a read example with React. And we have a theme hook that gives us the theme of the application. And we have a theme toggle. When it's light mode, we show the moon icon. Otherwise, we show the sun icon. And then we have this component called as chat room before. Now, if you take a look at chat room before, it has this theme box, which again, it's this specific component here. This is called theme box and returns that. But we also have this use effect over here. What use effect does is that creates the chat room connection. And once it's connected, it sends a post notification with a description as the theme variable itself. So if we take a look at create connection, it has a bunch of event handlers and establishes the connection and so on. Again, this code is not really important. All you need to know is that chat room has been created. Now, the fact that we added theme as a dependency in the dependency array, every time theme changes, chat room is reconnecting every single time. Now, the theme attribute has nothing to do with chat room connection. Why is it really reconnecting every single time? But because of the fact that we have used the theme attribute inside this toast, we have to now add this as a dependency array, which means that every time theme changes, chat room has to be reestablished. And that is exactly where the use case of useEffectEvent comes in play. useEffectEvent is a React hook that lets you extract non-reactive logic from your effects into a reusable function called as effectEvent. That means, let's say there is a reactive logic and a non-reactive logic. Anytime you want to extract, it lets you extract non-reactive logic from your effects into a reusable function. So you can sort of think of any of the dependencies that are not necessarily related to the actual code itself, that's your functionality. Then you can extract that out and put that in a useEffectEvent. In the past, you may have used something like ref to do the same thing. But with useEffectEvent, it automatically handles it for us. By wrapping theme in a useEffectEvent, we are making it non-reactive. So let's take a look at an example with useEffectEvent now. Let's go back to app.tsx. You're going to comment out chat room before and then bring back chat room after, which is an example that uses useEffectEvent. Now I'm going to comment this out and import chat room after here. If you go back to the demo, you will see here that now the after example has been displayed. So if I refresh the page, we get connected light. But watch what happens when I press the theme option again, the theme toggle again. If I press theme toggle, it does not reconnect the chat, which is huge. Because why do we reestablish the connection over and over again when it has nothing to do other than the fact that the display changes? So if I press theme again, it goes back to light mode, but it doesn't necessarily reconnect. Let's do this one more time. Doesn't connect. There is no toast notification whatsoever, which gets triggered whenever chat room gets connected. So if we go to chat room after code, this is what we are doing. Again, we're trying to create a connection in the use effect. On connected, we are triggering this function called as onConnected. And we're connecting. We are still returning theme box, but there are two things that are different here. One, there's no theme variable in the dependency array. So this means this specific use effect is now stable. There's going to be no reconnections whenever theme changes. But we still want to display the theme inside of the toast notification. So in that case, the theme attribute, since it's always fresh, what we could do is extract that out and wrap that up in a useEffectEvent. This would mean that whenever room ID changes is only when we are re-establishing the connection, which makes sense. But whenever theme changes, we are not doing so. That is why there is no toast notification anytime theme changes. So if I go back here, press the dark mode, there is no notification. However, if I refresh the page, we get the notification, toast notification here that the chat room has been connected. But if I switch back to light mode, it's not connected at all. So that's the advantage of using something like useEffectEvent React hook. It lets you extract the non-reactive logic from your effects into a reusable function called as the effect event. Now, if you think of effect events are very similar to event handlers. The main difference is that event handlers run in response to user interactions, whereas effect events are triggered by you from effects. So effect events let you break the chain between reactivity of effect and code that should not be reactive. So for example, effect events allow us to fix many patterns where you might be tempted to just suppress the dependency linter. We don't want to just add theme because the linter is complaining there, but by extracting theme inside a useEffectEvent, we extract the non-reactive logic out. If you are enjoying this video so far, you're going to love the Modern Full Stack Next.js course, where I dive much deeper into these exact techniques that I showed you today. Check out the link in the description below. This is a handy cheat sheet for useEffectEvent. If you want this cheat sheet for where you should use useEffectEvent, then check the link in the description below, and I would be happy to send it to you for free. These are some common real-world use cases where you can use it. So for example, event listeners. This is where you want to use it. You want to handle events with the latest state without reattaching the listeners each render. For example, key down, resize, WebSocket, message, and so on. If you're using any type of set intervals or set timeouts, you want to keep the timer callbacks needing the latest data, but without having to reset the timer. This is also similar to counters as well. If you don't want to reset the counter, then you could use something like this in case you're polling or auto-saving drafts and so on. If you're using external subscriptions, the subscription setup should run once, but its callback should always be fresh. Live data feeds is another example. Any type of background tasks, such as you want to retry something in the background, any polling in the background. The task needs the latest state on retry, but you don't want the effect to restart every render. And you want to retry with exponential backup. And any third-party libraries that accept callbacks, for example, Socket.io, Recharge, Chart.js, and so on, need a stable callback reference to register once. For example, chart, click handlers, analytics events, and so on. And when should you not use it? Avoid using useEffect for things that happen during render, such as on-click handlers, on-change handlers. Use useCallback or inline functions instead. General logic outside effects, if it's not tied to a effect setup and teardown, you don't necessarily need it. Just because you want to silence the ESLint warning for random re-renders, you don't want to use it either, because if your code doesn't logically belong inside the effect, fix the logic instead of wrapping it up in a useEffectEvent. Now, just because your code re-renders all the time doesn't mean that you're just going to slap in a useEffectEvent. You don't want to do that. You want to be careful here and use useEffectEvent whenever you have these common real-world problems that you're experiencing. So thank you so much for checking out this video. If you enjoyed watching this video, then definitely press the like button and comment down below and let me know what are the React 19.2 features I should create more videos on. And as next steps, you should definitely check out this specific video on React 19.2 and all the latest changes, or this Next.js 16 beta video, which covers React 19.2, but also all the exciting Next.js changes as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.